GameRanks presents another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and some first impressions of the latest games releasing. I'm Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Gravity Rush 2. Listen, the title says a lot because if you didn't play the actual underrated Vita cult hit, it's all about gravity stuff. And Gravity Rush 2 is definitely a better game than the original. While it doesn't totally take advantage and go as big as it should with jumping from Vita to PS4, there's still definitely some fun to be had. Once again, your cat with her magical cat, Dusty, in an interesting new land this time around. There's some added mechanics here and there, most notably the different styles of gravity that you can swap between on the fly. There's basically a very heavy and a very light mode that improves your speed and your attack strength. Also, Raven this time around is an ally, and that's pretty cool, but they do a good job with really balancing her power to still make the game challenging. And while I didn't really feel like Gravity Rush 2 is perfect, I do feel like it did immediately draw me in much quicker than the original Gravity Rush did. The original Gravity Rush, for me, to get into it kind of felt like pulling teeth. I don't know why, but here, I was immediately engaged right from the start. Maybe it's a gameplay thing, because I think enemy design here is much improved. There's lots of enemies that feel like mini-bosses, and I love that. There's just more challenge. You do get stuff similar to the Nevi from the first game, but you also get good fights with soldiers, some that have rocket launchers, there's mechs, and cooler stuff like some surprisingly large-scale boss battles. When you master the controls and you master the camera that can still get in your way quite a bit and be a bit messy, you're flying around, changing gravity left and right, things are flipping around, everything gets kind of dizzying, and it's really cool, and it can honestly be a lot of fun. Environments here definitely make the biggest difference from the jump from the Vita, and the main city is definitely the best example. It's huge, it's detailed, it's vibrant, and it's just really nice and varied. In the gameplay captured here, I really only captured the beginning of the game in case of spoilers or anything, so there's no footage of the city, but it is a really, really fun environment. It's way more varied than Heskeville, or however you pronounce it, from the original game, thanks to a lot more verticality and just general different variety, because the way the city is broken up, it's broken up by different districts that are floating islands, and they all feel a little bit different, and it just makes it really fun to fling around. There is some ability to unlock little fast travel points, but I just don't do it because manipulating gravity and hurling yourself around is just too much fun. The story here is definitely the weakest link. I do like the presentation. The way it is told is once again through a comic book style. You do need to know going in that it's all Japanese with subtitles, but the characters here still manage to be really interesting. But the actual overall story, to me, and I've seen a lot of people phrase it this way, and I hate using this phrase, but it's kind of just anime bullshit. And I say that as someone who could actually respect a lot of anime bullshit. But what I found myself here was really just caring about the characters and not really anything else. It is separated into 3 different acts, and I think each one people are going to feel a little bit differently about. I thought the first was the strongest, and then the third one kind of lost some steam, but that's probably going to be up to you to decide. Like I said, I think the story is definitely the weakest link here, but I should also mention, you know, you're roaming around the world and it's a lot of fun, but missions can get very, very repetitive. It feels like busy work, it feels like chores, and that's main missions and side quests. Also, I need to mention that there are stealth missions, and like what? I thought games that aren't core stealth games have realized this by now, that forced stealth missions in games where it makes no sense just doesn't fly, but Gravity Rush 2 tries it anyway. Those are probably the most unforgivable things for me, but that core gameplay is just good. Traversal and combat is so fun. When you're zipping and flying around, it makes the combat, despite small level up upgrades and variations here and there that really don't do enough, it still manages to be entertaining enough to get you through most of the game. You may find yourself getting a little bored towards the end, but not everybody, I don't think. Plus, the visuals aren't the most amazing, but they are smooth. But all in all, the music really steals the presentation factor here. The music is some of the best game music I've heard, I guess, in 2017, even though 2017 just started, but I don't know, it's really good. But what I was saying, despite repetitive missions, there are some nice highlights. You know, there's dumb missions where you chase a bird that stole your food, you fly a young kid around the city giving him a tour, and then there's the pretty large-scale and intense set-piece moments that are really damn entertaining. The game is pretty lengthy, it is padded, but it should take you between 30-ish and 40-ish hours. There's lots of people to talk to, there's things to find and collect, there's side quests to beat, but they just get repetitive. When I played Gravity Rush 2, I did really enjoy it, but I don't like scoring things with an actual number, but this game just screams like a 7.5 out of 10 to me. It's just that type of game, which is definitely not bad, but I do want to mention one last thing. Once again, there are online leaderboards, but there's this community treasure hunt mode that I do highly recommend. You should check it out. It's really cool if you do play the game. But that's Gravity Rush 2. Not bad. I do think it's better than the original, but it still doesn't reach its full potential. There are still some problems there, and it's just not a game that everyone's gonna love. But I think if you did like the first one, you're gonna love the second one. And if you were just on the first one like I was, give the second one a shot because it is pretty cool. And just manipulating gravity is worth trying. I recommend getting your hands on it at some point because it is fun. But you know how Before You Buy works. I gave you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion thrown in there, and now I definitely want to hear yours. yours down in the comments. How do you guys feel about Gravity Rush 2, especially die-hard fans from the first one? I want to hear how you guys feel. And if you didn't play the first one and you jumped into this completely blind, let's talk about that. Let me know anything you want about Gravity Rush 2 down in the comments. I'll be there. I'll also be on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino as well. But you guys know the deal. Clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And if you're new, clicking that circle and subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.